Syz family, my fellow cinephiles, and welcome to the first episode of Straight Razor Top 10, where we tell you our top 10 favorite things about movies. This video is basically a little DI I had, like the Those Who Came Before video, where I got to talk about something pertaining to my interest in film, with the hope of starting a conversation in the comments among the movie-going public about their favorite films, directors, or whatever the topic may be. But today, for this top 10 list, we're going back to our childhoods to a company that's touched the lives of so many people, Disney.
The Walt Disney Company was founded in 1923 by Walter Elias Disney, his brother Roy, and a few others. They gained recognition with characters such as Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, featured in early cartoons including Steamboat Willie the Little Wise Hen. In 1937, the company changed the animation game with their release of the first ever feature-length animated film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And in the past 81 years, Disney has produced over 50 animated classics, each one as magical as the last. Films of this kind have dazzled kids for almost a century, and today with the re-release of Peter Pan on Blu-ray, we're going to take a look at my top 10 favorite Disney animated classics.
I'll make you sing like the Lion King and take you under the sea, for I built.
Now for this list, we're gonna have some rules.
Rule number 1.
No direct-to-video sequels. That means you won't see Lion King 2, nor will you see anything like Return of Jafar. I love both those movies, but they don't pertain to this particular list.
Rule number 2.
No Pixar movies. I'm as big of a fan of Pixar as anybody else, believe me. Toy Story is my shit, alright? However, in this particular list, I'm just looking at films made by Disney Animated Studios.
Rule number 3.
No outside production. Now that means no films that are, tied to any other big name like directors or producers, such as Tim Burton. That means you won't see Nightmare Before Christmas, no Frankenweenie. I'm also excluding any Disney spin-off films, so none of the Tinkerbell films or nothing like that's going to be included. Now, onto the list.
Our number 10 entry on the list just so happens to be the first flick that Disney decided to remake in live action. The Jungle Book is a fun little story about a little boy who's raised in the jungle and goes on an adventure with his bear and panther friends. Yeah, that does sound kind of unnerving when you think about it, but it's okay because they can talk. There's also an evil tiger who wants to eat the kid, and that gets pretty dark, but it's Disney and they kind of had an emo phase at one point, just like everyone else. As much as I love the cinematic medium, I'm a sucker for a classic novel. This entry on the list is an adaptation of two famous novels, in fact, The Wind in the Willows and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. This one's a fun film to watch, going with a form of anthology method of storytelling. Also, kudos to the narrations of each story by Bing Crosby and Basil Rathbone. That's right, everyone's favorite intergalactic monster definitely made this list. The message of this film is simple: no matter how bad things get, you always have your family. And for the most part, I take the message to heart. Not only that, but it's a very real story, except for the little furry destructive alien. But hey, the jury's still out on that one. So, this is one I just recently rediscovered and fell in love with. Disney recently re-released Peter Pan under their signature collection banner, and being the fanatic I am, being a fanboy and all, I of course had to purchase it as soon as it hit shelves. At the time of recording this, the Blu-ray's been out for 2 days, and I found time to watch it 5 times. I don't know if it was looking at it with fresh eyes after 18 years of not watching it, but I found a new love for the film, despite its slightly bigoted charm.
What made the red man red?
This is one of those films that make every top Disney list, and for good reason. The film that brought about the Disney Renaissance has everything going for it: great music, great voice acting, and some of the best animation they had done at that time. After many dark and dreary films were released in the 80s, The Little Mermaid proved to the public that the 90s had something new to offer the fans. First off, sorry to all the fans of The Lion King / Hercules / Tarzan / any of the other amazing Disney films released in the 90s, but in my opinion, the greatest film of the Disney Renaissance is Aladdin. And honestly, I'm gonna cheat on this one. It's because of Robin Williams. Robin Williams was one of the earliest actors I can remember being a complete and total fan of, and even though he's gone, his films still live on in my collection, and this film is no exception. Along with some fantastic music and a kick-ass villain in Jafar, this film is highly recommended to Disney newcomers. Also, it was released the year I was born, so that's some cool shit. This Disney classic uses music as opposed to dialogue to get the story across. It's a simple film with no overarching conflict or villain. There are many great segments such as Rite of Spring, The Pastoral Symphony, and The Sorcerer's Apprentice, but the main reason I come back to this movie over the years is the Night at Bald Mountain segment. It's just done so well. The imagery is beautiful yet terrifying, and it really goes well with the music. Whether you think it's a masterpiece or the most boring Disney movie ever made, this will be a worthy addition to anyone's Blu-ray collection when it gets re-released in August. Disney's most recent animated film was an instant hit in my eyes. The music itself stands on its own. I mean, come on, who in a million years thought we would ever hear a Disney song sung by The Rock? I surely didn't, yet here we are, and 25-year-old me can't stop annoying friends and co-workers with the tune of You're Welcome. Another thing that I love about Moana is the fact that there really isn't much of a villain. I mean, there's Taka, who we find out later is a corrupted Tafiti, but she only appears near the end with a mention or two in the beginning. Though this isn't the only hit the animation studio has released in recent years, this is the one that I have grown very fond of. I am a sucker for classic detective stories, and because of this, I'm an avid reader of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes stories. The Holmes character has been adapted many times, including films starring Basil Rathbone and a British series set in the modern era starring Benedict Cumberbatch, but today we're going to talk about Disney's animated adaptation. Instead of Holmes, we get Basil of Baker Street, the great mouse detective. What I like about this film is how well it captures the look and feel of a classic Holmes story. And need I mention the villain? The evil Professor Ratigan is voiced by the late, great Vincent Price, which makes this film a must-see for hardcore horror and Price fans all around. Yes, for my top spot, I am gonna cheat, but how can I not? Especially when the company has over 50 films to choose from. And as I'm sure you've noticed by now, this list probably didn't play out the way you thought it would. If not by number 4, then at least number 2 would have tipped you off that I'm gonna go way into obscurity. Treasure Planet is one of my earliest memories seeing a movie in the theater, and Sword in the Stone is one of my earliest memories of watching a movie, period. Though both films normally receive mixed reactions from fans, these are the 2 movies I always bring up whenever I get caught in a Disney conversation. Honestly, if you've never seen these films, or it's been a grip since you have, check them out. Let me know your thoughts.
And there you have it, my top 10 favorite Disney animated classics. What are your picks? Does your list look pretty much the same? Comment down below, let's start a conversation. Avengers Assemble, may the Force be with you. It's time to kick ass and chew bubblegum. Take it easy, guys.